Every day, hundreds of people flock to the nation's capital to take in American symbols of freedom, equality, and justice. But there is another attraction to the halls of power for many of Washington's residents and tourists. Sex, often from underage children, and people forced into prostitution. In other words, human trafficking. Human trafficking, or modern-day slavery, is not just a problem for people in other countries. It's happening to Americans, often from traditional backgrounds and upbringing. Monica Sutton is a survivor of human trafficking, and she says she had a fairly normal childhood, but that did not keep her from being a target.
I grew up with both my parents, my mom and my father. I actually grew up in a great home. I was one of the popular girls, as they call it, in high school. I actually have my high school diploma.
Monica goes on to explain how her seemingly good fortune of meeting a compassionate stranger quickly turned into a living nightmare.
I took the opportunity and I got in his car and I went with him. He choked me, he hit me in the face with a back of a gun and told me I wasn't going anywhere. And matter of fact, I was about to go upstairs and take care of business. Now, I'm scared, and at the same time, I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, go upstairs and handle business for what? I would have intercourse with maybe 20 or 30 guys a day. Everyone says, well, why didn't you just leave, and why didn't you just get out, and you didn't have to live like that.
Sadly, cases like Monica's are not a rarity. In fact, researchers say they are becoming increasingly more common.
We would actually target the customers of human trafficking victims. We would have to take a squad of maybe 25 officers out there because we would end up arresting in one night maybe 100 customers. And it would be so many that it would actually shut down our prisoner processing area.
The leading anti-trafficking organization Polaris Project reports that 100,000 children are enslaved in the sex trafficking industry every year. Kevin Bales of Free the Slaves says that there are more people enslaved now than at any other point in human history. Across the country, policymakers have strengthened laws against human trafficking, but there is still a shortage of resources and safe houses for victims.
They had taken this apartment and converted it into all these different little rooms where they had a group of women that were being trafficked there for prostitution purposes. I remember speaking with this one girl from Venezuela. I didn't really know where to send her. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to try to help her, and I didn't really have a place to send her. And so I remember just out of desperation giving her the name and the phone number for the nuns at the Spanish Catholic Center. And I asked her to contact them. And I always kind of wonder, whatever happened with her. I never heard back from her again.
Law enforcement officers have become more adept at handling human trafficking cases, but they say helping victims is an uphill battle.
This relationship between many human trafficking victims and their traffickers, and it was something that we weren't necessarily used to seeing, where they would actually rely on the trafficker for support, emotional support, physical support, monetary support. And so that made it difficult a lot of times for them to actually testify or want to complain against the trafficker because they were depending on that very trafficker for support.
As much as human trafficking has grown, so has awareness and action to address it. Justice could not be more timely or more needed.